Ladies and gentlemen, this is a review on Homtom Ht7. Delivered to me in 2017. If you look at the time, you will realize this is the last clip I'm doing of something. It's very, very well recorded. In continuation, you can see state-of-the-art video, which I demonstrate you how you can do the review of something. In this case, that goes 8 years ago, back in time, but it really started more than 31 years ago in distant 1994. Look at this is a telephone. You can see a piece of it even missing here, the upper portion of it. It's missing the frame housing, whatever you call this. The email, Homtom, or the confirmation, eBay. You see, eBay. August the 21st, 2017, boom. We click this one here, boom. Right after I returned from Belarus. It was Belarus. Hungary is where I applied for political asylum, and then also in Ukraine and in Belarus. There you go. This is the originale right there. This is the review. Absolutely a police related issue. This is basically by getting the police by the throat with this issue particularly. Extremely, extremely important review of the phone with which police anticipated is going to get me. Those are the criminals from Novo Mesto police station, not a police. As you all know, I wanted to become a police officer. This was my goal in life. It did not happen so. White color, Homtom Ht7, exactly the one I demonstrated you. This is what we are going to be talking about in this video. And one more time, let me demonstrate you the timing and everything. The eBay sent me this email, August the 21st, 2017. The headphones on this telephone never worked exactly as I explained in the video. The headphones never worked on this telephone. And it's also very, very important to note, to explain, that the same telephone as this one here, and I did remove the infrared filter from the camera. I modified it by myself. My own telephone, but I never touched my mom's telephone. Was such a beautiful telephone when it comes to the night vision, infrared vision that I was using, that truly, truly was breathtaking the way it worked so beautifully. And this exactly was the reason why Slovenian police destroyed focus on this telephone. Focus was destroyed on this telephone because you can see the old videos from Poland that I video recorded with Homtom, with my telephone Homtom, which I took with me to Poland. Clear, despite removing IR filter from it, clear, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. I did modify this telephone. Yes, I did. I removed the infrared filter from one so that I could have, just as I have done with the first telephone, night vision on one. However, the focus on this telephone is exactly what was described to me by police, by Novo Mesto police, by Andrej Ul, by Aleš Berger, by the neighbors, by the Novo Mesto police investigators, psychiatrists, cops, and others that were playing with these things. It will be a focus on the telephone that will not zoom itself properly, that will jump back and forth and will not record the stuff. It will not record the stuff properly. It was exactly the way this stuff was done in such a way so that would not record in details. It just makes the picture foggy because it's jumping all the time, the lens, right? But that doesn't have nothing to do with the removal of the infrared filter. That had to do with what police became extremely, extremely attentive about. They became attentive about my using the telephone in Poland. They complained about Why was it that these pictures that I had on this telephone were becoming everything, not only pictures, but even after removing IR filter and everything was done so perfect? Because the stuff I do, ladies and gentlemen, I do just as good as technicians do inside of the stores, inside of the workshop. Whatever I do, when it comes to the play with the stuff like this, I do it with a super great detail. I do it with a really great detail. Neighbors, police were demonstrating me the telephones during MK Ultra that supposedly would remind of what they had done the damage, and they did. That they were dumping all the time, bang, 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 because it was the focus that would be running on their telephones like crazy back and forth. This was not the case with my telephone. So this is the stuff that police also modified on this telephone. Whatever they did, they had technicians from Ljubljana, they would come, and also technicians at Ljubljana, they would take my merchandise too, including the Toshiba camera and so on and so forth. They destroyed everything, not only this telephone. They went also after the Toshiba camera, new one, brand new one, that stopped work before I even started to use one and stuff like this. They destroyed absolutely everything. Hard drive, new hard drive from Hofer that stopped functioning before I even started to use one and stuff like this. They fucking destroyed absolutely everything, wherever they got their hands on it. Absolutely everything. And just as you're going to hear me talking about headphones, that they promised me the headphones are not going to work on a smartphone, is the same thing they did with the Focus. They also did with the Focus. They also promised me and demonstrated me during MK Ultra about the Focus issue before I even owned any smartphone. The first smartphone I owned was in 2016 when I purchased the telephone identical to this one here, however, in black color. Now we will do the smartphone schizophrenia. This is a smartphone. This is a smartphone. This part here went missing. Year when they started to fuck with this must have been 1996. 1996, 1994, 94. Actually, a big fight between me and Robert Golob in 1994 when he suggested me. There was no asphalt here. There was just a road, unpaved road for field people here, for tractors basically to get through. So it was a big fight I had with him. That's how he wanted. I called him fucking crazy, mentally ill individual, because he demanded from me to see things in the, like this. This is what the road used to look like before. He wanted me to see things in the, you know, having me drugged up, and he demanded for me to see things. Plastic, whatever. If I saw it. In 1994, there were no smartphones. There was nothing smart about 1994. However, personal computers already existed. And ZX Spectrum and Commodore and Atari and all those computers, also Amiga, Commodore, all that existed long before that. However, Robert Golob did not even know what the fuck was he talking about at the time. And for me calling him mentally retarded, ill, psychopath, resulted in him obtaining the ability for revenge, because that's what he wanted. This isn't about me being guilty or doing something to somebody. Obviously, if you're tortured, you're just tortured. It's about criminals searching for certain handles they can use in the future to present crime as justification. So they always look for justification. Justify, like that song from the KLM, Justified. Something like that. They always come in the name of the justice, right? And so many years passed through. Actually, he kept reminding me of this in 96 and in 98. Milan Kučan even told him that he is crazy. He reprimanded him for this one time and changed the story back to use the crime against me further, to further the crime by asking me in front of Robert Golob if he is crazy, right? If he is crazy. This is what he was looking for, like if he is crazy, and then start to promise, not gonna say problems, but retaliation. So they created this crime on their own. The location where this took place was a little bit further still. Really around that bench, the next bench that you're about to see as I get there. So the years passed by. I already video recorded the whole issue with Xi Jinping, a Chinese president, Xi Jinping, in respect to the smartphones. When he started to insist in 1998 that he has a smartphone from Samsung, that he's using a Samsung smartphone. 1998, Samsung did not have any kind of smartphones, and nor anybody else had any kind of smartphones that I would know of that looked like the smartphone that he had. And the smartphone that he had, looked like a Galaxy smartphone. But people did have this, what you would use a digital pen to make a notes, you know, like for the note. They had those things. But he demanded from me to see a smartphone in his hands. And did so because he hoped that he's going to create the case of a paranoid schizophrenia for Robert Golob. Robert Golob, more than Robert Golob back then, in 2000 became clear. 99 was extremely violent in respect to this stuff. Was I have kids again passing through here, who was into this schizophrenia, was an ex-Slovenian president, Borut Pahor. He was the one who became extremely close with Xi Jinping and demanded from me to see this smartphone and stuff like this. Samsung was his preferred telephone. That's what he demanded for me to acknowledge before the Samsung smartphones even came on the market. And then handed this issue in the hands of his Chinese minister, prime minister, whatever, whoever assisted him. Okay. Okay, hvala vam. Hvala. He let me know that I have a light on my smartphone. Cool. So I didn't know what now. Around here is where we had this incident with this Robert Golob, who demanded from me to see something completely unpaved road, like made for these tractors that you have seen, like this. This is what we call tractor in Slovenia. So demanded for me to see stuff, and I sent it to the motherfucker land for it. I was drugged up, and he demanded for me to see the stuff that did not exist. So Xi Jinping claimed that he's got a smartphone already from Samsung before they came on the market, and so on and so forth. Xi Jinping had a lot of problem with Chinese government in respect to smartphones, in respect to Samsung, because Samsung belonged to South Korean people, and South Korean people saw themselves in me, not in Chinese Communist Party, which was extremely violent, extremely violent. Till sometimes Xi Jinping took over. They decreased their perception on my case when he got on the power. Maybe that's how they want it, whatever the case might be. Xi Jinping, however, wanted this schizophrenia to go on till it have proven beneficial for the China, in a sense of investments also from Samsung. Xi Jinping did not ever own Samsung telephone. He demanded from me to see Samsung telephone on the picture, and he also alerted me afterwards that he didn't want to say what this was about. He didn't want to say what he was doing, but he wanted me to understand that that what went on previously was not good. He somewhat corrected this stuff. Samsung did make investment in China, and things changed drastically over the course of the years, not only because of the Samsung between China and South Korea, but also because of other investments that Koreans made into China. There is a minority in South Korea, Korean minority in China, and Chinese helped this minority to participate in Alibaba business and so on. And Koreans helped Chinese to develop their industry and so on and so forth. You know, that's where I'm coming from. The telephone that I'm talking about finally maybe something that looked like that, and I don't know what it is because I did look on the internet to check that, finally came out in 2008. But what they wanted, Samsung, but what they wanted from me is a schizophrenia, because I told you this is all about imitation of schizophrenia. So out of 1994, and it might have been even earlier than 1994, this shit here developed. This type of schizophrenia developed here. This is what we're talking about right now, about how this smartphone was destroyed. Yes, I do have ability also to review gadgets, telephones, and everything else, despite my not video recording one on how and who destroyed it. I also have that kind of ability based on my memory. In this case, was witnessed by entire village, Kirka. This case. That's why I will do this case. So the next thing that happened was Metod Yerman. This is a violent thug next door, a police investigator, who took from Robert Golob. Robert Golob in charged one for the schizophrenia in 96 pertaining to the plastic, some plastic. And out of that plastic is the shit that developed. This telephone either was thrown on the floor, or it was by accident that have fallen on the floor on many occasions, not one, to the neighbor Metod Yerman, to the Belarusian guy Sergey, who met me in Poland, in Prushkov. This telephone have fallen to several people on the floor. This is the telephone, including to myself. It also have fallen on the floor to me. And what makes it interesting, on the same location, under same circumstances as it have fallen to the Sergei from Belarus. That is in Shmarješke Toplice. It's a Mercator store is over there, Mercator store. This telephone, I didn't touch this telephone ever. Belonged to my mom. Identical telephone to this one I have purchased in 2016. But as I headed to the Belarus, I did not took the telephone with me because something was saying to me, actually I wasn't heading to the Belarus, I headed to the Russia. The telephone will be destroyed, broken. So I left one at home. It was a Homtom telephone, just like this one, that afterwards, once in Poland, it was stolen from me in Poland. Literally by what I was told by the Russians, they're going to steal me the telephone inside of the asylum camp in Grotniki, in Zgierz, near Lodz city. Lodz, Grotniki, Zgierz. I'll Google that stuff. Just go over the internet, whatever, on my blog. Asylum in Poland, from Warsaw, from, I think it was Dębak in Warsaw to Grotniki in Zgierz area. And so my telephone, before I headed to the Belarus, which my goal was to go to Hungary to apply for political asylum, eventually ended in at home. I didn't take that telephone with me. The telephone was at home. I had a cameras with me, and when I returned back, when I ended in Belarus, I went to apply for political asylum in Hungary. I ended inside of the Belarus after I tried to go to even Moscow, because not being allowed to apply for political asylum within European Union, anywhere inside of the European Union. So I had to start to target for political asylum purposes applications located in the countries located outside of the European Union, if this is not fucking insane. This is how far this stuff have gone. This is how far they forced me. One of the countries also was Ukraine, where I applied. So, once I returned back from Belarus, I ordered a telephone also for my mother. The same telephone I already had. I also ordered one from the mom. I said I'm going to get one also for the mother. And I ordered for the mother also telephone. Year was 2017. It was toward the end of the 2017. That basically is right after I returned back from Belarus. I bought this one, the white one, for the mother. So the part is missing. And this is the part I will be talking to you about now. At the end, I will also explain what exactly happened to the telephone. Now I want to talk to you about this part. This part, which they break the telephone immediately as the telephone arrived. The telephone was not broken before they arrived. This part was broken as soon as the telephone arrived. Yes, I was not even using this telephone. Whenever they would bring me from Belarus, from Hungary, from Ukraine, they would bring me here to Slovenia. They use the telephone from my mother, and this is when the police, a Novo Mesto police investigator, was involved in breaking the telephone, who met me at the Novo Mesto police station, in 2022 when I came over there to request assistance in respect to my father's medical files. So I wanted to get father away back home from hospital, from home for elderly. I wanted to get him home. He was not in the home for elderly back then. He was still in the hospital, you know, that kind of stuff. And so he was one of the people to whom this telephone smashed on the floor and so on. So, but sorry, this is completely mistaken. No, it's not mistaken. This is the way it is. Right after I come from Belarus, I also buy the telephone for my mom. However, we go back to the year, this was in 2017, end of the 2017. We go back in time right now. It is very difficult to tell all this stuff. You will understand why this is so complicated. This telephone, not this telephone, but any kind of smart telephone was promised to me by a nurse, Yanko. This is another portion of the schizophrenia, imitation of the schizophrenia police did. Also at the postal office in Novo Mesto, with the neighbor Berger, with police, with the neighbors, so that I would remember this stuff. They do it with the neighbors, with the people that surround you, so you don't forget. Guaranteed to me, in 2001, we'll have problem with the headphones. We'll have a problem with the headphones. One of the problems was with the headphones. And the second problem they promised me there would be with my smartphone, when I would get the smartphone, would be with the focus. But the schizophrenia, the way they engineer the schizophrenia inside of the city, inside of the village, is gonna shock the fuck out of you when I explain to you what they did. So this is why I know, because in 2002 they already started to promise me. In 2001 from Angela Merkel they learned about these smartphones, they're gonna come out. So this is basically what this looked like. They promised me that if you're gonna get the smartphone, and they did test the smartphones. The smartphones were tested by the guy who lived very near where the telephone was stolen from me. That's a Žižovo, not too long ago. Right in that area, he started to test the smartphone in 2003. They already started to test the smartphones. The smartphones were already created, but they were not on the market yet. The testers already had the smartphones, politicians too, to play with during MK Ultra, but not allowed for public to see them. There were certain circumstances that obligated these testers of this electronic like this, if it was for this Illuminati case, they were not allowed people to get a hold of these gadgets. They had to do a certain agreement, and this agreement was literally done by the government officials of the country wherever they are. If they gave you this stuff, the same thing like with the Vojislav Šešelj, when they delivered him to Slovenia, Slovenian government became responsible for him as the one took him from there to Belgrade, and then the Serbian government. So, you know, they don't let you out of the jail like this, and they don't give you the stuff just like this without your being like hell responsible for it if something goes wrong. And so I know that the smartphone which they delivered to me, I did go and I think I paid import tax and everything, and I did not suspect that it's going to be destroyed, broken and stuff like that. I gave it to the mom, but when I gave it to the mom, the telephone had a headphones problem. with the headphones. I realized that the telephone cannot be, it doesn't have a headphone. And I don't mind saying this stuff, that I got to know the telephone before. I told Mom, so you're not using the headphones. So since you're not using the headphones, you're not listening to the radio. I told her we're gonna fix this somehow, whatever. The telephone was cheaper from AliExpress. I purchased one. There was nothing I could do about this stuff. Other than that, the telephone worked perfectly fine. Telephone, everything. So all of a sudden, I find myself in the center of the village, which I'm going to demonstrate you. We're going to go there. And it was Milan Kuchan who in the center of the village started to insist, that was right at the Mitska location, started to insist with Robert Golob that they destroyed me a telephone, and that they destroyed me the telephone so because they know. I asked them, but why did you destroy the mother's telephone? And they said to me, we destroyed the mother's telephone because we know that you're going to go out of the country, and you're going to return back. We're not worried about the telephone you're going to take with you, but when you're going to come back, you're not going to have a telephone. This is what Milan Kuchan stated to me in the center of the Krka village, in front of Robert Golob. They explained to me this stuff. They had company from Ljubljana, service company from Ljubljana, and people, I understand, who would even sell this kind of Homtom Ht7 telephone in Slovenia that came to Novo Mesto, inspected the telephone, and established that something was done to the focus. And they did this stuff inside of our house, recording themselves, portraying themselves as somebody who just discovered this stuff. Like, oh, well, you know, we just inspected the telephone and we realized, by the way, that you have a problems with this brand new telephone and this and that. Where did you purchase the telephone? This is the way it was. In reality, this shit goes to 2001 and 2002, when they repeatedly, including Nurse Janko, promised me with the psychiatrist Peter Kapsch that the telephone that I'm going to purchase, the smartphone, is going to be with destroyed headphones. Absolutely, the headphones are not going to work. I think these people have a short memory stick. They have a problem with the memory. They have made number of the promises since 2001, 2002 about my future smartphone having a problem with headphones. So now it doesn't matter what they found when they came in our house. It doesn't really matter what they told me to remember in the center of the village in respect to the smartphone. By the way, we found the smartphone that you have has broken this and so on and so forth, and focus and so on. The one who did this shit was Milan Kuchan. The one who did this shit was Novo Mesto police. This was Robert Golob. And it was done in identical way as to everything else that was destroyed. This is how far my memory goes in respect to all this shit, in respect to this part here, in respect to the telephone that arrived destroyed, that was obviously was open in Slovenia and destroyed. They have the service companies in Ljubljana and stuff like that, that play with this stuff, that service stuff from other people's telephones. They were selling this kind of telephone in Slovenia since 2014. 45 euros. So don't fucking tell me that you had nothing to do with this stuff, because I've just proven that you did have. What I stated here is equal as to if I would be video recording this stuff with a camera, because it's a fact what I stated. Now let's do this part here. Part of the telephone. So you see, this is not easy to explain all this stuff. This part here, part of the telephone. The part of the telephone have fallen them, I don't know how many times, the telephone on the floor. Finally, they broke the telephone to the degree that the telephone would be falling, this part would be simply falling off. And it was again during my stay in Belarus, in Hungary, that this telephone was destroyed already by the Novo Mesto police, by falling them on the floor, dumping the phone on the floor, wherever the fuck was. And we go to this part here, 1994, we go to this part here, for which Robert Golob, Slovenian Prime Minister in charge, the criminal who lives next door to me, that's Metod Ht7, he started to fuck with me by pointing me out on the side of the road if I see it. And I was asking if I see what. Yeah, they would continue to walk me here between our village and here between Žihovo Selo, but this was just a pass through. We would go through Otočec and all the way to Sevnica and stuff like that. So he still keep fucking me. Whenever Robert Golob was present, he did the same stuff. And he started to instigate who is crazy now. Who is crazy now? So you're talking about over 20 years after that, maniac, Slovenian communist maniac, Slovenian Serbian maniac asking me about, driving me, bewilder me basically. Still torturing me right out and open, practically where I was born, with stuff like this. And so they wanted the schizophrenia in terms of Ht7, who this guy was obsessed with the violence idea. You know, there was a lot of torture right here in this area here, as I have to say to you. The favorite torture location was right here, pass through here, as you go from that bench up, because of the road here. You can get quickly here to the road, or they can get to you through this road here that you see where the tractor have gone through this here. This is the way they had a road, always access. You look very, very remotely, but actually it was not so remotely. This is the kind of stuff they were doing, you know. And this criminal ran absolutely every violence that went on. So this neighbor of mine, this Metod Ht7, was the one who claimed, I don't know what year was, 2018, whatever, that he lost this part, that he lost this part here, that he lost this part that had fallen him, and started to fuck with me. This when I was in Belarus, in Hungary, started to fuck with me in respect to previous stuff. You know, this is the first time that he demonstrated me the piece of plastic. So this was the telephone that was destroyed. I remember Robert Golob who told this in 2017 when I got this telephone. Now I am going to throw the telephone. So this, you know, these are all the proofs. The incidents like this make the proof. Now I will be the one who will throw the telephone on the floor, or you will be. This is how Robert Golob stated in respect to this part here. To Metod Ht7, to other police investigators involved in this, I will throw the telephone or you will. And they celebrated it because it was white. So remember, the part that was mentioned to me in '94 supposedly was a white part. A white part, and it was the telephone. It said, I still don't have, over the course of the years, it was Robert Golob, who reminded me of this destruction of this part here by saying to me, I still don't have a part. But at the same time, he was asking me to find him a part. So what do you think about this? Is this designed to kill somebody or not? Huh? Is this a definition of the violence? Is this not definition of the violence? So when I got this white telephone, he said to neighbor Yerman, he said to the police investigators, do you want me to throw the telephone on the floor or you want? So because he wanted is this part here of the telephone. And this part here, the telephone, became part of the story I have to tell you now. So in 2017, he got his part. The telephone, they break me the telephone. They broke the telephone. They broke the telephone more. They broke the telephone more. And demanded from me to look where the part. In 2017, Method insisted that he lost the part, as he would take me during MK Ultra back and forth. He lost the part for the telephone. And that he had fallen him. He told me that you have to glue one, otherwise it's going to fall you down. Imagine to go glue the parts of the telephone together. That would be the thing. That would give them more proofs about me. That would be insane. So he started to insist to me, it will depend on you, how you will be, how you will write. If you have to, there was no asphalt here, the road was like this. He didn't do only on this road, but also on the other road, whatever road they used. In this road is not like this, but other road, whatever that was, that road did not have, you see this is a channel here for the water. I think that road did not have a channel for the water. And I don't think it was, you know, taking me the other way or whatever. He demanded from me to look, to search for the part, for this plastic, and suggested me, you know, like, don't worry about it. If you're gonna lose one, I'll make sure that just as was the case with a stolen telephone recently. I have to put the video on yet. I'm gonna make sure that you have the they're gonna leave you the part on the side of the road. So as you walk, do you see the part of the road, or you look on the side of the road for this part? Just keep looking. So they started to drive me crazy on a previous road, a road whichever they were using. That much for this imitation of the schizophrenia. Or I'm going to even say roads, wherever they were using, that somewhat reminded of this road here. And demanded from me to view on the side of the road, driving me completely insane. Asking me, are you watching? Are you watching during MK Ultra? Are you watching? On the side of the road. But if you will write badly about us, if you will not write about us the way we agreed, that's the language you use, the way we agreed, kot smo se dogovorili, right? Then the only thing you're gonna see, and he demonstrated me a part, which is not a part. It was not a part from the telephone. It was just a piece of plastic, wherever he got that. He wanted me to take a note of it. He had that completely smashed. So, if you will write the way we agreed with one another, it will be on the side of the road. If you will do on your own, yeah? They refer to me as mentally retarded fuck who does the stuff on his own, and that's why I have problems, because I don't follow the instructions from the Aka, aka police, which is in fact Milan Kucan, Slobodan Milošević, Belgrade, Moscow. In that case, he said, remember what we said now? Do you remember what we say now? This was a murderer, not my neighbor, but murderer who destroyed me together with his cousin Zdenko Jerman. And I did explain how the two got the job through the crime against me at that Grabenski potok, at the Graben, right in front of the Krka Pharmaceutical, a little bridge, Graben Bridge. Destroyed me over 45 years of life. This is the dunk who was involved in absolutely every violence in any part of the world. For his best comrade, associate that was walking with him, was none other who witnessed and recorded this type of crimes. Wherever the crimes were ready, unnotable, that needed to be taken details about, was none other. That was Milan Kucan. Robert Golob is a personal attorney, psychiatrist, and a special police officer, Miran Sudin. A trash that called on me, basically a psychiatric services, for reporting MK Ultra crime on October the 30, 2024 at Novo Mesto police station. So this is how this shit is all connected. That's bench, that's another bench, yes, that's a road, and all so on and so forth. Everything maybe even looks normal, right? And this here is just a phone, right? But it's really not. There's a whole lot of stuff that pertains to this stuff, and to this road, and to everything else. This was sometimes in, shit started not here. They preferred this area for torture here, and they preferred whenever Milan Kucan came, they preferred the night hours, evening hours. I would even say the earliest they would start to pose. They really liked down, you know, darker. I noticed they didn't want to be on the camera, that's for sure. They were afraid that somebody, whoever was recording them. And it was a rainy day. It was sometimes in the fall. And that's exactly about how I purchased this telephone, when I purchased this telephone. So, rekao bi celo žalostna povorka. A sad entourage was heading with me, violence, nothing but violence, in the direction of the home, like I'm heading right now. The day was, it appeared to me like it was even very humid. It was foggy. Milan Kucan was here with Robert Golob. And this pretty much is the area I'm gonna demonstrate you now, where they demanded from me to acknowledge that they already have seen my telephone. That's also Gregor Golobic. They destroyed the telephone. They saw the telephone and they destroyed the telephone. So that basically they wanted from me a schizophrenia based on recordings they had with them. Now, because stuff where I am at right now, right here, was absolutely video recorded. And based on that, my testimony that if I would go and do as instructed by, even by village people and by Metod Jerman, which is from this house right there, I would give right now the account about how this telephone here came broken, focus-wise problems, more than focus-wise problems, headphones. Yeah? He is from this house originally. He's from this house. He built a new house for himself right there. And that's what they wanted, because they had, I had people here, I was interacting with the people from the village who also encouraged, including this man here, encouraged for me to do a video on this telephone about my having one destroyed by Robert Golob, by Milan Kuchan, and that was in 2017. So I think I did extremely good job previously by describing you how this telephone was destroyed, absolutely every part about it. Yeah, when I came through here, then home, then this MK Ultra went on. With probably next day or maybe even same day, they had people from Ljubljana that would come and insist me that they inspected. No, this shit went on for like 3 days, this MK Ultra in 2017. In our home, in our residence, I know, because the next day it was the same thing. They had these people from Ljubljana that insisted. They inspected the telephone and they haven't seen nothing unusual and so on, except the focus, they said, and the headphones, and it's not a big deal. And for me, it was not such a big deal because mother was not using a smartphone, and I was not anticipating that my telephone is going to be stolen in Poland, in what became a Slovakia then, yeah, where I had it. And don't forget, Milan Kuchan stated, I'm not worried about the telephone you're going to take with you. Obviously, I wasn't going to take the mother's phone. That was a white phone. I'm worried about the telephone that you're going to get once you return back. And so he wanted to make sure for telephone to be a real piece of work when I get back from, well, what became obviously a Poland. I wasn't using one earlier than that. The word today was about the following trash. I'm going to start with the Miran Sudin. This is the second time I'm doing this. Unfortunately, I have an audio recorder turned on. This garbage, this human trash, I just learned right here. I couldn't find his name anywhere. Couldn't find his photo, his picture anywhere on the internet. I never searched for him on the internet. I just did this stuff right now. Specializirano državno tožilstvo Republike Slovenije. Miran Sodin. His name is right here. But I don't get to see this guy anywhere. This is the criminal special state prosecutor, and really must be very special. It must be really special. There's, I think, even, is it son-in-law from Milan Kuchan also that works as a, no, sorry, that's Ribicic. That's another guy. We're going to talk about that some other time. I yet have to see this stuff here. So, word was about this human trash who is employed by specialized state prosecution in the Republic of Slovenia. Miran Sodin is his name. And he must be really specialized, because this dung, you know what a dung is. He participated every time whenever the crime became, like you would do inspection of the crime. You would have people demonstrating him the type of work that was performed on me. He was the one who would log all the details about the crime, how to consider one, how to see one from my point of view, and also how to pursue one from how to pursue a schizophrenia, imitation of the schizophrenia from the police point of view, how to enforce imitation of the schizophrenia from the police point of view. So I don't find from this dunk on 2 legs, I don't find anything about this dunk that I would demonstrate you this dunk anywhere. I found even my video here about this dunk, but I don't see anything, absolutely anything about this trash. This is also the first time I do the search of this trash on the internet. The second trash dunk who was involved in it is this one here. This is the dunk of the dunks, a psychiatrist, Peter Kapsch, who literally would go insane. Like, if I was, the worst I could do to him was basically laughing in his face to his stupidities, to his schizophrenia stuff. This is what would, if I would not take him seriously, which seriously under no circumstances you possibly, if you were normal person could not take seriously dunk like this, but he had another weapon, violence. And so then he would, through depression, through the acts of violence that my neighbor, Homtom Ht7, involved in crime against me for over 45 years, would pull against me with Novo Mesto, with a Novo Mesto. I mentioned Novo Mesto. Look, I still have it right here in the middle of the screen. Right there, Kočevarjeva ulica, you see it? I don't think these days Janez Ogulin, ex-director, is excited about me talking about Kočevarjeva ulica. The Gotcha Deutsch were Germans who lived in a Kočevje area, also known previously as the Gotcha. Something that they make me embrace during MK Ultra, and even suggesting, as much as you love this, you're gonna hate us being located on Kočevarjeva ulica. Something about the Kočevar you're not gonna like. And they sarcastically demonstrated me there. Big police station right there. Something psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, if I would not take this human dunk. Where are you, my friend? Where are you? You had so much to tell. Where are you? Are you gonna keep waiting for me to come to pick you up? Where are you? You were so much threatened during MK Ultra. Where are you with your police officers? Where are you now? If I would not take one seriously, he would assign this garbage here, trash bins, to act with extreme acts of violence to the degree that it wouldn't be anymore about whether to believe or not, but simply through the violence, through the pain, through the suffering, see myself in whatever they preached me. This is the degree of violence we're talking about. You would not believe how miserably it ended for the garbage from Novo Mesto police station. What a courage they had, how courageous they were, and what a piece of shit they turned out to be now. Like, I don't actually even hear the fucking sirens no more. What's the matter? You don't hate anymore, my... Till next time? Everything bothered you. But don't worry about it, you still bother me. You're not gonna come for me, but I will come after you. So don't worry about it. Look. We have discussed about, this is our house right here, and it's not Krka 2, it's Krka 1. we talk about this dunk here. His name is Metod Ht7. This is this one right here. This is a higher investigator. This very, very investigator, at top of the state investigator. I don't know how much of a difference this is from Miran Sudin, but this criminal was involved in extermination procedure with his cousin right next door, also a police officer, Zdenko Ht7, for more than 45 years. More than 45 years. And yeah, this is the way it is. That's our house right there. These are their houses. This individual would transport me between Brežice, Krško police station, Novo Mesto police station, all the way to Ljubljana prison. He would come to pick me up. He had agreement with the psychiatric hospital, Ljubljana. Psychiatrists, nurses, nursing staff who enforced MK Ultra procedure through Ljubljana and through Gorenska region. And this isn't about any kind of MK Ultra. For me to be specific, Josip Broz Tito started for me to pay visitations to UKC, to traumatology department in Ljubljana when I was in early childhood due to degree of torture. This is called, based on sleep, most severe sleep deprivation, trauma, torture, cardiovascular trauma, torture, bestiality, lynching. This is what you have people jumping in your face. So this man was involved to transport in between the Brežice, Krško police stations, Novo Mesto, and all the way to Ljubljana prisons, where they would also imprison me during MK Ultra. This was the man who treated me like an animal during MK Ultra. And he also was in charge for the torture in Bizeljsko area, right? This area here. Yeah, this is his cousin. All this area here, Bistrica ob Sotli, Bizeljsko, Pišece, Globoko Artiče, this area here that you see, Šentjur, Krško, this is how he would do the job, the dirty job for Kučan. And I did explain how these guys got the job from Milan Kučan, from Borut Pahor, which I'm heading next, from Robert Golob, also heading next. I did describe to you about the bridge, Graben Bridge, exactly how the stuff went on with the Golobic, with teachers from Osnovna Šola Grm, my schoolmates, and so on. Metod Ht7, a judoka right there, karateist, a higher police officer. This dunk on two legs was involved in crime for me for 45 years and have incited, indiscriminately incited people against me throughout the world. He might have participated in every operation throughout the world that took place against me, violence-wise. In eastern part of the Europe, absolutely. And he also traveled to Asia, United States of America. He was across America and also South America, Brazil, and so on. I did talk to you about this individual's also involvement in this. This was one of the most, these are the most violent people, basically classic, that was involved in MK Ultra is this stuff right here. This is a previous Slovenian president. I demonstrated you this individual. This was the individual who got an idea to do something so mindless. I should say ABC of the extermination procedure. In respect to the telephone I mentioned to you, this is this telephone here, this white telephone. The part that is missing right there. This is truly, truly state-of-the-art description that I gave you. When this guy said, let me have it so that I can throw it against the floor, or you are going to do it. Who is going to throw the telephone against the floor when I got the telephone? He celebrated. He got the white part he was looking for. Remember when I said in the video? This is this shit here that you see on two legs. He was the one who gave the assignment in 1996 to this judoka here that I have as a neighbor. I warned this guy not to come in this house no more, not to approach to this guy. I don't have the ownership of this property so that I would advise one not to come. So he did came, his brother still came, and so on and so forth. They don't understand about what's going on. In 1996, this is the one who gave the assignment to, and the man who doesn't need no introduction, special introduction, I don't know, should I call him a Milan Kučan or Putin or Milosevic, or what exactly should I call this guy? He is well known, Milan Kučan from Slovenia. Man who somehow just didn't understand anything about me in respect to whom he was dealing with. Today, let me remind you, Dunk, I am not going to say to you till the next time. That's not what I'm going to do. And I'm going to ask you, where are you, scum? It's getting hot out there for you. The evidence is so overwhelming. And I don't even feel like asking you, like saying goodbye till next time, which is something you hated from all your heart. Psychiatrist cops was all insane about that stuff. Because I'm afraid you don't even have any more inside of you to hate. Now you're rabbits. So I'm going to ask you, where are you? Scum. On two legs. Trash. Walking, talking garbage. Uniformed in a police uniforms. Where are you? And I'm asking you this because I'm coming for you anyways. This was the state of the art for the Homtom Ht7, precisely on how this telephone was destroyed. Xi Jinping didn't want to have anything to do anymore with the schizophrenia, imitation of the schizophrenia. He warned me about the Samsung, for which they demanded, Slovenian police did, from me, to see myself in this garbage, which Borut Pahor started in '98. Robert Golob, they were all excited about this Samsung smartphone stuff. He didn't want to have anything to do with it, especially once the Samsung invested in China and so on. So this was one of the guys that was a cancel guy when it comes to them. But the evidence that was arriving from China, talking about the purchasing through AliExpress, Temu, Alibaba, and so on, that one overwhelmingly pointed. I didn't much purchase through Alibaba, really. Stuff that went on. That one overwhelmingly continued to point toward severe injuries, as they would use 2 size shoes smaller than what my size was. Normally, that left me with a lot of pain and also problems with veins, my legs. And not to mention what goes on with merchandise paid in for that I ordered from China that came very oftentimes vandalized, etc., etc., etc. However, he did cancel that stuff. He didn't want to have, personally, he didn't see himself in imitation of the schizophrenia anymore. He didn't, from his point of view, from his perspective, from his personal involvement in it, but he was involved in violent stuff. With his daughter, he was involved in it. He did consider me, as J.D. Vance stated a few days ago, God have a mercy on mentally ill people. I'm talking to J.D. Vance, to you, man. You're so poor. You're really, really so poor. He did J.D. Vance stated, mentioned expression of Chinese peasants while turning me into the Chinese peasant. Basically, why turning me into a real peasant? My economic situation is no mean, colorful situation. And that's basically what they want. That's why I said. That's why I said J.D. Vance was involved in a lot of violence with his family. He had a family member that would come and collect the whole family from this Appalachian Mountains, maybe in Tennessee or whatever he was. I just read something about the Appalachian Mountains. And I remember when I first met J.D. Vance, he was a tall kid, very tall child, who wanted to continue his education, wanted to get through his grammar school, in high school, and continue at university. They would deliver me to J.D. Vance through high school, university. When he went on to serve for the U.S. Marines, he had I don't know who the fuck he had. He was his older brother, half brother, or his father. I don't know, because I didn't Google yet. However, the hair of this guy almost looked like as light as from Donald Trump. A reddish blonde guy. Who the fuck this guy was, I don't know. He did remind of J.D. Vance. And this was the guy who would go to these Appalachian Mountains to pick up one by one, and he gestured me that he is saving the family. So this was some kind of family member, must have been a family member that was pulling them out of these Appalachian Mountains. This place is where I was delivered by the FBI, by the CIA. They scanned housing through Appalachian Mountains. I spent a lot of time in Appalachian Mountains, Tennessee area, Carolina area. A lot of time there. And it's absurd to me that you're using a language that I used during MK Ultra to portray my poverty, my struggle to stay alive, especially because you didn't go through anything in your life. You talk about something about the poverty. The thing is, I haven't seen any fucking poverty. There was a lot of laziness. People do lazy shit. They do drugs. They do alcoholism. They do stuff like this. But not everybody from Appalachian Mountains is poor and destitute and is waiting for the government handout etc., etc. People do take their charge in hands, and they do move on. In United States of America, you do have such opportunity like immigrate to the bigger city with the country, with a state assistance where you can obtain studies, even if it's for high school, for whatever it is, if this is so much eager you are. And I'm going to say to you, J.D. Vance, you even married your wife, Indian wife, at the request of Donald Trump. It's a pure politic, and you're not going to do politic on me. Not this low-end politic you're not going to be doing with me. The man, as you see right there, didn't see me for who I was. He didn't see me as a human being, but he's a man who demanded from me to see myself as a shit. Truly, he demanded from me to see myself as a peasant. I was really nothing special to the communist Xi Jinping, even less to his beautiful daughter, because he knew exactly what my place is in this world. All through, he never walked not even 1 millimeter in my shoes. And that's the kind of people I don't like. But he did use my services he couldn't even fucking exist without. This man would never be a president of China without my case. This is the man who got investments to China throughout my case. That's how he became a Chinese president. Like I said, I'm not gonna end the video with till next time. I'm gonna say, where are you, scum? Where are you, scum? Where are you, pigeons? You're silent. You're very, very silent these days. What's the matter with you? What the fuck is the matter with you? Something ate your tongues with your psychiatry, Ljubljana Polje? Huh? What's the matter with you? Why so silent all of a sudden? Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching this video. This is the way I do this stuff. If you were able the way I did the stuff with the Graben bridge, and now you're able to see the way I do the stuff with this telephone. And this one here, as I stated, goes back to more than 35 years in time. Now it's actually 6 plus 25, actually, excuse me, yes, 6 1994 plus 25, that's 31 years of brainwash. Did not wash away, a violent brainwash, did not wash away the review for this beautiful telephone. Thanks for watching. Huh? They did talk to my mom in 2017 when I got the phone. My mom, from perspective of my mom, it looked like I was demented. Like I was demented individual. Like they treated me in front of her, with her included, like I was insane. It was like, they were talking to her, you know, but the telephone is like this and so on and so forth, you know, the telephone is like this and so on. And she said, my mother and my father were involved in multiple crimes that involved anywhere from the light fixtures to the doors. And those are the issues. It's basically vandalizing house. Those are the issues I yet have to discuss together with Metod Yerman, with the people from the village, were involved in multiple crimes, multiple other crimes with which they traumatized me, not only in the real time, but also during MK Ultra. I was the one who destroyed. Those are the items, the household, the doors, issues I yet have to discuss. Treating somebody like he is demented makes person feel like he is unnecessary inside of the house. Makes one feel like he is basically, why to even worry, why to even bother yourself when everybody considers you as demented? Huh? That's a big factor during MK Ultra. It's a big factor of psychology. It's a very, very big factor that plays crucial role. One of the crucial roles when you covered absolutely every millimeter of the human psychology in one, you destroy, you murder the person, you brain kill the person. We're talking about the brain killing here. next to violence. We're not talking about the regular crime here. They covered absolutely every millimeter of the human brain. Every issue possible, they dwelled inside of this house. Lived inside of this house. They made themselves home inside of this house. Stayed inside of this house in areas where I was not even allowed to enter inside of those. Such as is my father's room, the hunting room, such as was downstairs washroom, such as was downstairs also the room from that my mother kept her stuff inside, and so on and so forth. This is the way it was, including this room here. This is a living room area for which father suggested me, well, this is going to be the first room where you will realize we were doing the stuff to you. This is the first room you are going to acknowledge the presence of the police officers, that you actually did even sleep inside of this room, etc., etc., etc. Because what they wanted to do is, they wanted me to make the statements like this so they could sign the certificate that I am insane, literally insane. That's what they wanted. This is what this case was. So it's all about imitation of the schizophrenia and driving one insane through extremely violent procedures.